Good morning. It's nice to see you all, and I think we will get started. I'm Olivia Summons, and I'm the chair of the WGTE board. And on behalf of the entire board and all the wonderful employees who work at this lovely station, we'd like to welcome you, family and friends, and all those who support the station, and all those of you who know and knew Ann Stranahan and her family. The weather was so iffy that the staff decided it would be better for all of us to avoid the puddles and to not worry about rain and cloudbursts. So hence we moved inside. But because of technology and cameras, you're not going to miss a thing. I would like to introduce to you a gentleman, Dale Thornton, who stepped in as the interim CEO of this station after Marlon's retirement. I know that most everybody in this room knows Marlon, who could not be with us today. But Dale is a former board member who graciously stepped in, and his background in the military, in healthcare administration, in city administration, has brought him to the point where he has led this station with his organizational development skills and leadership. And I just would like you to meet Dale. Please stand up a moment, because he has stepped in. And for that, we are very grateful. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Marna Ramnath. I personally did not know Ann Stranahan, but I have heard so many wonderful things about her. But Marna is someone who did know her. Marna is a past board chair at WGTE, has a long history with the station, along with many other community activities. So at this time, I'm asking Marna to come up and tell us a little bit about Ann.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is such a pleasure to be here on this day to honor Ann. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. To honor Ann. And I'm going to talk a little bit, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the history. Don't worry, you don't have to settle into your seats. This is not a history. A little bit about the history that Ann was such an integral part of, and it's really why we are what we are even today. WGTE Public Broadcasting began in 1953 as a low-power television station. Its broadcast antenna was in the bell tower of the University of Toledo's University Hall. And it did mainly pretty technologically low-level education programs for the schools and for the city. 6 years later, in 1959, it began regular operations, receiving a full television license on October 10, 1960. In 1976, its reach was expanded with the addition of FM 91.3, the FM radio station. Throughout that span of years, Ann Anderson Stranahan's vision and will were instrumental in laying the foundations of it and ensuring that the missions of education, lifelong learning, and enrichment took root. From those early days of its existence, WGTE was firmly rooted in the concepts of education and discovery. Its very call letters reflect that, WGTE, W Greater Toledo Education, and that was Ann. Throughout the years, WGTE continued and continues to serve the community in large part due to her foresight, spirit, and determination. It's no wonder, and with good reason, that she was fondly and respectfully called the mother of public broadcasting in Toledo. Anne's reach extended beyond Toledo as she went on to serve on the Board of Governors of the National Broadcasting Service at a time when its very existence was at risk. Sound familiar? And women were not well represented around the table. Anne's was a voice that was listened to, and she was a force to be reckoned with. She earned the respect of her colleagues at that national level as she had locally, and she paved the way, again, locally and nationally, for the women who followed her. It is fitting that the name of Anne Anderson Stranahan be here in this place, on this building, to visually accompany the voice that has always been here and reflected in what happens here. It is said that a leader with vision is able to set a clear direction and envision a future that others might not yet see. Anne was that leader. We are here today to recognize her, thank her, honor her, and salute her. Thank you. I jumped on from the most important part. I will now welcome and introduce Anne's daughter, Frances Perry.
Hello, everyone. Uh-oh. Can you all hear me? Okay, you're blurry in my glasses, but thank you all so very much for being with us today. It is lovely to see you. As I thought about my remarks today, I realized that WGTE has been my conduit to all things PBS, and that PBS is threaded through the decades of my life like strands of DNA. I'll share a few of those strands with you. For most of my childhood, we weren't allowed to watch TV. But in the early 1970s, when the happy partnership between my mother and WGTE developed, we were not only allowed to, but encouraged to watch the after-school lineup. That would be Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and Zoom. I was a young teenager, but still, I happily settled into the couch with my younger siblings to be calmed from the day and nurtured by our public television friends. Songs from each one of these kind, inclusive, diverse, relevant, and educational shows still resonate with me today. Won't you be my neighbor? Please won't you be my neighbor? Hello, neighbor. I was just old enough at 14 when I was allowed to work a few nights at the notorious Channel 30 buy-in. I ran bids from the back of rotary dial phones down to the auctioneer on the floor. I worked alongside the cute, curly-haired new kid at my high school. For us, this was important and thrilling work. We were helping Channel 30. 10 years later, I married that cute new kid. I knew when my mother was traveling to Washington, D.C. to PBS meetings, as she would be dressed in a most elegant suit, silk blouse, and scarf, with a heavy board docket under her arm. She, too, was doing important work. I carried the comfort of PBS with me to college, and on Sunday nights, I'd meet my best friend in the college library, and we'd watch All Creatures Great and Small, projected on a movie screen. As a young mother, Morning Edition and All Things Considered kept me company, connected to my community, the nation, and to the world as I ferried my children to and from school. Often, classical music soothed the frayed edges of my motherly worries. Later, my teenage children, somber and quiet at 8 a.m. on their commute to high school, listen together and learn from these same shows. Once again, in 2025, All Creatures Great and Small streams into our cozy TV room, bringing solace and calm into our frazzled souls. To all of you at WGTE FM 91 who work tirelessly to bring this source of news, entertainment, culture, music, dance, opera, local events, and stories to life, thank you for enriching all of our lives, but especially mine for the last 5 decades. I would like to extend my family's sincere gratitude to a few people who have seen this seed of an idea through to its blossoming today. Marlon Kaiser, it seems to me you knew that this was meant to be, and you worked with the board and the staff to make this momentous day to come to fruition. Thank you so very much. Dale Thornton, Interim CEO, welcome. And thank you for shepherding this plan along the last few months. Marcus Harrison, Director of Marketing and Communications, thank you very much for your support and guidance as the plans for today's events have solidified. Thank you very much to the WGTE Board of Directors for listening to Marlon last fall and embracing this plan. I know that a fine-tuned organization relies upon a strong staff, and I am certain a lot of behind-the-scenes work went into making this celebration happen. Thank you, all of you. I am certain that our mother would love to have been here today, beaming and celebrating this truly special honor you have given her. The naming of the Ann Anderson Stranahan Public Media Center. Thank you so much for recognizing her passion for public media in this beautiful and deeply meaningful dedication.
Thank you, Francis and Marna. I would just like to say before we hear from Anne herself and a video from 2009 that all of you understand the threat to public media. When Francis was highlighting all of those things that we have all experienced over 5 decades, and Marna's reference to the role of public media in this community, we all must do whatever we can to preserve what public media means in this country. So I just plant that little seed as we look to the future and move ahead for the best interests of public media. And so now at this time, we have a short video that we'd like to share with you.
You cannot quantify the gift that public television broadcasting has brought to this country. We have created and maintained excellence and journalistic integrity and and scientific exploration, and charming, riveting children's programming. We've held on to these values as the popular culture has lowered its standards down to a dust heap. Survival shows, Donald Trump, so-called journalists shouting at each other, ranting obscenity over the airwaves, vicious, gracious, diatribe. Through all of this devastating downfall of our commercial cultural integrity, public broadcasting is held steady at the helm. There's a wonderful hymn that says, public television has been, as the hymn says, a still, small voice of calm. I'm grateful to every gifted, passionate, faithful, underpaid person who's ever worked in this system. I'm profoundly grateful for having had the opportunity to bring this excellence to Toledo. And I thank all of you for being committed to it now. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, so timely. Oh. Well, now, okay, the moment we've all been waiting for, and thanks to great technology and a superb team, we will do the big reveal. And so take it away, Marcus and folks. So very cool. And I'm hoping that your mom is here with us in spirit today. I'm sure she is. And kudos to the team that were able to pull this off in the rain, and I understand lightning yesterday, to make this happen. So thank you all for coming, and we will move to the McMaster Learning Center for a reception and an opportunity to visit with each other. Thank you all for coming.